In this video, we are going to talk about the 2018 movie The Ґрінч. We will discuss the movie story, summarize plot, and explore cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's reviews and box office performance. In the end, we will also give some reactions about the movie. So, let's start with the movie story. In the town of Whoville, the Whos are eagerly anticipating Christmas. However, just north of Whoville, on top of Mount Crumpet, there lives the Ґрінч, who hates Christmas and the thoughts of seeing the Whos so joyful. He lives alone with his faithful dog Max. The Ґрінч gets ready for breakfast only to discover that he has completely run out of food due to excessive emotional eating. This forced him to make a trip down to Whoville for some groceries. As the narrator notes, it's not quite known just why the Ґрінч is the way he is. It could be that his head was not screwed on just right or that his shoes are too tight, but perhaps the biggest reason of all was that his heart was too small. The Ґрінч takes Max to town where he acts mean toward the Whos, and then he runs away from a group of carolers. As he gets his food elsewhere in town, we meet Donna Lou Who, and overworked single mother to Cindy Lou and twin boys Buston and Bean. Cindy Lou heads out with a letter to Santa Claus for a big wish she has, but she ends up running into the Ґрінч. She is mean to her as well, implying that he is like the rest of the Whos, greedy and demanding for stuff from Santa. After he leaves, she manages to retrieve her letter. On his way back to his cave, the Ґрінч runs into Bicklebomb, the jolliest who is Whoville and a major thorn in the Ґрінch side. Bicklebomb puts up his Christmas decoration, which the Ґрінч calls an eyesore. Bicklebomb explained that the mayor wants Christmas in Whoville to be 3 times bigger than this year, which only makes the Ґрінч feel worse. He returns to his cave and sits alone, feeling that it is better for him this way. Meanwhile, Cindy Lou plans to deliver her letter to Santa personally by walking to the North Pole until Donna tells her that it would take a month to do so. Later, a gigantic tree is flown into Whoville to be lit that night. Annoyed, the Ґрінч sets up a catapult to launch a massive snowball to knock the tree down. That night, the Whos gather in the tree squares as the mayor is set to light up the tree. Cindy Lou gets up friend Rupert and tells him that her wish to Santa is that he send help to her mother because Cindy Lou can see just how tired Donna is from all the hours she works and caring for Cindy Lou and her brothers. As the Whos get ready for the lightning, the Ґрінч prepares his catapult for launch, only for it to roll down the hill and drop the snowball, then launch him toward Whoville. The Ґрінч inadvertently lights the tree and falls in the middle of the crowd. This triggers a painful memory in him where, as a child, he was always alone, especially around Christmas, and that's why he hates the holiday so much. He retreats back to Mount Crumpet and catches a plan with Max to steal Christmas from the Whos. The Ґrінch plans involves becoming Santa Claus and following his method to a T so that he can get in and out of Whoville with ease. He takes Max to find reindeer to pull a sleigh, but when they reach a whole field of reindeer, they are scared away by a screaming god. The only one left is a fat reindeer that the Ґrінch later names Fred. After Fred's join the Ґrінch and Max, the Ґrінch heads into Whoville to steal a sleigh from the roof of Bricklebomb's house, but not without dealing with his crazy guard dog first. He also uses a flying device to send Max into town to get a sense of how many houses he will hit, only for Max to get distracted by sausages, and gets sent flying back right into the Grinch. Cindy Lou gathers Groompert plus her other friends Axel, Izzy, and Uzi to discuss her plan to give her wish to Santa, and that is by staging a trap for him. She manages to convince her friends to help set up the trap and test it out with Grouper, but it just tears his Santa suit off and leaves him nude. The Grinch teaches Fred how to pull the sleigh, but just as they are walking into the field, they spot two other reindeer who turn out to be friend's mate and child. The Grinch knows what's going on, and without a fuss, he lets Fred go, lamenting that it's just him and Max again. It is the night of Christmas Eve, and the Grinch tasks Max with pulling the sleigh. They wait until all the Who's are sleeping before heading down to make their move. The Grinch hits all the houses using his gadgets, stealing trees, presents, decorations, lights, and food. The very last house he hits is none other than Cindy Lou's house. He sees a cookie and decided to take it, which triggers a trap that she set. Cindy Lou hears the trap going off and she rushes downstairs to meet the man she thinks is Santa. The Grinch manages to fool her and convince her that he is taking her tree to a fixed light on it. Cindy Lou then asks him to grant her wish to help her mom, which touches the Grinch since he sees that Cindy Lou is not selfish like the way he perceives the host. The Grinch leaves Whoville with Cindy Lou's words still ringing in his head. As the sun rises on Christmas morning, the Grinch reaches the top of Mount Crumpet to watch as the Who's wake up and sees that all of their Christmas things have been stolen. Cindy Lou tells Donna she feels that is her fault because she trapped Santa, but Donna assures her that's not true. Soon the Who's all join hands and sing Welcome Christmas, which perplexes the Grinch until he closes his eyes and takes in the joy that the Who's have despite all their stuff being gone. It makes the Grinch realize that they find happiness in each other and not their material items. It even makes the Grinch's heart grow bigger. Suddenly, the sleigh starts to slide off the edge of the mountain. The Grinch grabs onto it and tries to hang on using a grappling hook, but that only causes the cliffside to crack. Before the Grinch plummets to certain doom, he is saved by Fred and his family, who are helped by Max to pull the Grinch back up. He then rides the sleigh down the hill to return everything to the host. He reveals himself as the one who stole Christmas from them, and he apologizes for what he did before walking back home. Later that day, Cindy Lou visits the Grinch and invites him to go to her house for dinner. Although a bit hesitant, the Grinch brings Max to town, where they join Cindy Lou's family and other guests from town, including Bricklebomb. Everyone gathers for dinner, and Donna offers the Grinch the chance to carve the rare who roast beef. The Grinch gives a small speech in which he admits that he never hated Christmas, but rather the feelings of being alone on the holiday. And so the Grinch delivers a toast to kindness and love, the things we need most. The Grinch. Two of the most beloved Christmas stories are about characters who hate Christmas. Charles Dickens gave us Ebenezer Scrooge, who calls Christmas a fraud until the ghosts show him Christmas past, present, and future to show him that he has missed by hardening his heart to friends, family, and kindness. And Dr. Seuss gave us the Grinch, a furry green character with a dog named Max, who hates Christmas, so he decided to spoil the celebration of everyone in the community of Whoville by stealing all of their decorations, food, and gifts. An instant classic since its publication in 1958, the book inspired an award-winning Chuck Jones animated television special starring Boris Karloff, then an overstuffed 2000 live-action features film starring Jim Carrey in the title role, and now a very watch-worthy full-length animated theatrical release from the people behind Despicable Me with Bendix, Cumberbatch using an American accent as the Grinch. It does not surpass the Chuck Jones version or having the book read aloud by a parent, which is still ideal. But it is far superior to the Carrie film and should become a welcome family tradition. The visuals are delightfully Sicilian, all curves and silence. I love the matte shaped windows on one of the houses and the way that Whoville's Christmas decoration make it look like a captivating, intricate gingerbread village. In contrast, the Grinch mountain top layer is bare and cavernous, empty, and slattery, far from the warmth of the Hawaiian homes. We really do not need a backstory to tell us how the Grinch got so Grinchy that he wants to steal all the decorations and gifts, or why Cindy Lou, who was awake on Christmas Eve. But features length movies are longer than Dr. Seuss's poem, so we get a flashback to the young Grinch's lonely holidays in an orphanage. In the book, 2 years old Cindy Lou gets up for a glass of water, but here the elementary school age Cindy Lou wants to make sure she sees Santa on Christmas Eve because she wants to ask him for something very special. It is special because it is not for herself but for her loving yet executed mom. While this is not especially inventive, there are some clever parallels as the Grinch and Cindy Lou each have to come up with a plan for Christmas Eve. They route out their schemes with the same two words alone on a huge surface Santa Claus, and both must assemble helpers and equipment without anyone finding out. The smaller details are the most fun, especially when the Grinch brings on an enormous jack looking reindeer named Fred to pull his fake Santa sleigh, or when a relentlessly cheery Vivian with the fanciest Christmas decoration in town keeps insisting that he and the Grinch are best friends. We see the Grinch wake up in the morning for his breakfast, which includes a lad with a frowny face in the form prepared by his ever loyal dog Max. He then selects one from a rake of outfits labeled according to mood wretched, miserable, very miserable, nasty, and grumpy. They are in fact all exact alike and indistinguishable from his actual skin and fur. All the gadgets and equipment the Grinch creates are delightfully clever. The action scenes are energetic and funny, and the music, with a score by Danny Elfman and some standards and fresh and tuneful rendition of holiday classic, is superb. With a gorgeous phonetics rendition of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and Taylor the Creator's slightly updated version of Thurl Ravenscott's classic You Are a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, the message that Christmas is not about parents and Sandy Kane but about kindness and being together is always welcome. And when the Grinch gets invited to dinner with Sandy Lou's family, you may find your heart growing a couple of sizes too. The movie is The Grinch and released in 2018, created by Illumination Entertainment, directed by Zach Zefron Scott Mosier, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. Dr. Seuss The Grinch, also known as The Grinch, is a 2018 American 3D computer animated Christmas film produced by Illumination Entertainment. Based on the 1957 Dr. Seuss book How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it is a third screen adaptation of the story following the television special from 1966 and the live action film from 2000. The Grinch is directed by Shara Cheney and Scott Mosier, written by Michael Lazier and Tommy Savadlo, narrated by Pharrell Williams, and starring the voices of Benedict Cumberbatch, Danny DeVito, Zac Efron, Cameron Seeley, and Angela Lansbury. It was released by Universal Pictures in the United States on November 9, 2018, in Real D, 3D, and select IMAX theaters. It receives mixed reviews from critics who praise the animation, voice acting, soundtrack, and emotion, but said the film added little to nothing new to the source material. The plot of the movie is that in the town of Whoville, human-like creatures called Who's are filled with excitement about celebrating Christmas. The only one who is not all excited is a cantankerous green creature called the Ґrінч, who has a heart two sizes too small and lives in a cave on the top of Mountain Crumpet just north of Whoville. The Grinch's only friend is his loyal pet dog, Max, and they both only visit Whoville when the Grinch needs to buy food. Meanwhile, 5 years old Sandy Lou, who noticed that her mother Donna is overworked trying to take care of herself and her twin infant brothers Buster and Bean. She at first decided to send a letter to Santa Claus to help her mother, but after encountering the Grinch, who sarcastically says that she will have to talk to Santa face to face about it, she eventually decided to try and trap Santa with the help of her friends and ask him for his help since she thinks it's too important. After the Grinch is annoyed that the Who's brought a gigantic Christmas tree to town, he attempts to destroy the tree by catapulting a giant snowball at it. But it backfires and he ends up catapulted himself, and soon all the festivities take him back to his sad childhood where he is all alone in an orphanage while all of the other Who's were taken by families. After returning to his cave, the Grinch soon decided that he will steal Christmas from Whoville to assuage his distress. He acquires a fat reindeer whom he calls Fred to help him pull a sleigh that he stole from the most happiest Who in Whoville, Bricklebaum. After a test run, the Grinch sees that Fred has a wife and child, so with a heavy heart he lets Fred go back to them. On Christmas Eve, after making a Santa Claus discourse and dozens of gadgets to help him with his theft, the Grinch and Max, who pulls the sleigh in Fred's place, go down to Whoville and begin stealing the decorations and presents. He soon encounters Cindy after falling into her trap, and her request to help lighten her mother's workload soon touches the Grinch's bitter heart. After stealing every Christmas present and decoration, the Grinch and Max decided to head back to Mount Crumpet to dispose of them. The Who's wake up and are shocked to see that the presents and decoration are gone. Cindy at first believes she is to blame because she caught Santa, but Donna tells her that Christmas is more than just about presents and that Cindy is the best thing that ever happened to her since she helps her mother out with her workload, and the Who's join in singing. The Grinch and Max soon hear the singing, and the Grinch is puzzled to see that they are celebrating Christmas despite this theft, but he soon listens to their singing and his small heart trickles in sighs. The sleigh almost falls off Mount Crumpet and the Grinch tries to save it, and soon Fred and his family come to his aid. After scoring the sleigh, the Grinch and Max go to Whoville to return the stolen items, and he admit his theft to the Who's and apologize before going back to his cave. Feeling sorry for the Grinch, Cindy comes to invite him to dinner at her house, and he awkwardly attends, and when seated down for dinner, he admits that it was not really Christmas he disliked, but being lonely, and carves a toast piece as he celebrates Christmas with the Who's and starting a new life with them, especially with Cindy. The cast of the movie: Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch, a misanthropic, grumpy green creature who dislikes Christmas until the end of the film. Cameron Sally as Cindy Lou Who, Rashta Jones as Donna Lou Who, Cindy's overworked mother, Kenan Thompson as Bricklebaum, the Grinch neighbor. The movie production. In February 2013, it was announced that Illumination Entertainment was developing a 3D animated feature film based on the Dr. Seuss book, with Peter Sandlin and Giorgio Chani set to direct it. Benedict Cumberbatch was cast as the titular character. Pharrell Williams was cast as the narrator, while Angela Lansbury was the mayor of Whoville. Rashta Jones, Cameron Sally, and Kenan Thompson were also cast for the film. The film was originally scheduled to be released on November 10, 2017, but on June 7, 2016, it was pushed back to November 9, 2018. Marketing. The first official trailer was released on March 8, 2018. The second trailer was released on June 14, 2018. The third and final trailer was released on September 18, 2018, along with a new poster. On October, various billboards appeared for the film, each featuring an image of the Ґrінч accompanied by a mean quote and message. Universal Illumination partnered with several companies to promote the film, including Wonderful Peacocks, Habitats, IOP, and 23andMe for about $80 million worth of advertising. The film was released on digital HD on January 22, 2019 and on DVD and Blu-ray on February 5. In the United States and Canada, The Ґrінч was released alongside The Girl in the Spider's Web and Overlord and was projected to gross around $50 million in its opening weekend. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 63% based on 35 reviews with an average rating of 6.2 out of 10. The website Critical Consensus reads, "The Ґrінч gives the classic Seuss source material a brightly animated update that's slightly suitable for younger viewers without adding substantially to the story's legacy." On Metacritic, the film was a weighted average score of 53 out of 100, based on 12 critics indicating mixed or average reviews. Alonso Derlado of The Wrap gave the film a positive review, calling it full of warmth and wit, and writing possessed me back about revisiting this tale about the Ґrінч on its slaughter and its sentiment, both of which are plentiful. It's a full, thoughtful way who prose. Owen Galban of Variety compared the film favorably to the 2000 live-action one, writing, "For everyone who grew up with How the Ґrінч Stole Christmas, the Ґrінч will not replace it. Yet it's nimble and affectionate in a way that can hook today's children and more than a few adults by conjuring a feeling that comes close enough. By the end, your own heart will swell to maybe just one or two sizes." Differences from the books and previous films. Mr. Krampus is much closer to Whoville than previous adaptations. The Ґrінч is slightly less menacing than how he appeared in previous version. The movie The Ґrінч 2018 is an animated movie, and it was released by Universal Pictures with Dr. Seuss the Ґrінч. Benedict Cumberbatch voices a presently but more relatable Ґrінч. In an era when awards-based films and ever-junky FX-laden franchise fantasies of the week are often half an hour too long for their own good, it's worth recalling certain examples of pop culture storytelling that were, in their way, miracles of brevity. The original 1931 Frankenstein has a fairly involved storyline. Dr. Frankenstein, preparing to get hitched, is bringing to life of Boris Karloff's creature, the creature learning to walk, the creature going out into the world, the day of the wedding, the pitchfork mob, yet the entire thing goes by in just 71 minutes. As speaking of creatures who destroy things out of loneliness, How the Ґrінч Stole Christmas, the 1966 made-for-TV Dr. Seuss Fernell, narrated by none other than Boris Karloff, also spins out a relatively busy John. The Ґrінч, in his gleeful, scantily eyebrowed humbug way, broads over this thing called Christmas that dreams up an elaborate plot. You could almost call it a heist. To keep Christmas from coming, he goes out and raids every home in Whoville, all the while undergoing the stages of a relatively major psychological transformation which comes to a head when he has his middle of the night encounter with little Sandy Low. Yet, if you excise the commercials, the entire thing takes just 26 minutes to tell the tears of uplift is provokes. In Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew three sizes, that they are powerful enough to make you feel like you are watching the toot version of It Is a Wonderful Life. Ron Howard's live action remake of How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jimmy Carrey cutting loose is about 12 different ways as the furry shrews of Whoville remains one of the most critical reviled Hollywood films of the past 20 years. Yet it was a major success story, the top grossing movie of 2000. A lot of what critics hated about it, apart from the fact that Jim Carrey had finally worn out his welcome with them, came down to the idea that it took a television special that was the definition of kiddie perfection and weighed it down, and 1,000 unnecessary and annoying bells and whistles. More, much more became less in the bright and spangly new computer animated fairy tale Dr. Seuss The Grinch. The same dynamic exists, at least in the abstract. A story born to be Susan Marvel of succession narrative gets finds it and inflates it into a features-length movie. Yet there's a crucial difference. The last thing that the film's directors, Giacchini, The Secret Life of Pets, and Scott Mosier want to be accused of is touching a beloved classic again. So there's a distinct sensation in their visuals and narrative embellishments of the movie, doing all it can to stay true to the look and feel and inner spirits of the 1966 special. Does it add anything apart from length? Maybe not. As the special proved, and does years after years, perfection is perfection. Yet taken on its own term, I'd pretend that you had never encountered this story before, as countless children who see this movie will not have. The Grinch is a buoyant and agreeable entertainment with a lead vocal performance by Bendix Cumberbatch that doesn't try to bend the story. The way Carrey's performance did are Mike Myers in the 2003 live action The Cat in the Hat towards some misbegotten gold of Hellsopen, dump truck energy. Cumberbatch in his droll and tastefully way respects the grinchiness of the Grinch, that he is a force of mischievous memes who represents something in all of us, the potential to be bad when unhappiness takes over. There's no denying thought that this is a Grinch who is a shade lighter in his acrimony, if not in his coloring. His fur is still ceasic green, making him an ever so slightly more relatable, misanthropic, battle-brewed crank. Cumberbatch gives him an American accent and speaks quickly with an adult officiousness. The sound is the less Karloff with his dark and booming British vowels than Paul Giamatti at his most presently. That the Grinch is a self-isolated narrative making up for past trauma is now front and center. Early on, he sits in his home playing all by himself on a pipe organ whose pipes shot up like a tangle of gold-plated pasta. He is soft rock phantom of the opera, and there's a funny montage of him including in a bout of emotional eating. He also gets a moment of joke-free backstory, one reminiscence of the lonely holidays that Ebenezer Scrooge spent as a boy, a Christmas Carol. The Grinch has a visual design that Savory is a tactile Christmas specialty store away. The houses of Whoville look as bendy and ramshackle as they did on the page. They are now charged with color, and the pristine show scraps lend the movie a firmer sense of place. Its Whoville could be the world's funkiest sky resort when the Grinch stands on the silver of extended peak outside his doorway. Surviving the town blue, it's like he is perched on an abyss. At the same time, this is the first Grinch that gets you to feel that even is in estrangement. He belongs to the town. He is who lost his way. The Whose Village Sky's Christmas tree is so glamorous, it's a marvel, and there are of course This is of the spectacular action film slapstick required in any contemporary animated features, most of it revolving around the logistics of the Ґrінч navigating his slake up and down those slabs. Dr. Seuss' famous doggerel has been replaced by a lot of imitation Seuss doggerel which works well enough. Thought there is no great reason for it apart from the fact that the film has to offer something original or it would not have a reason for existence. That the eternal paradox of remake culture. We want a movie like The Ґrінч to push our nostalgia buttons, yet in a way that's just fresh enough to delight and satisfy anew. The Jim Carrey version didn't do that, and so popular as it was the time, I seriously wonder how much it's watched now. For anyone who grew up with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, The Grinch will not replace it. Yet it's nimble and affectionate in a way that can hook to its children. And more than a few adults by conjuring a feeling that comes close enough, by the end, your own heart will swing the maybe just one or two sizes. The Grinch Review, a delightful modern retelling of a Christmas classic. The Grinch worked as a modernized retelling of Dr. Seuss' classic with some compelling tweaks to the story and character for plenty of family fun. Dr. Seuss' How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a classic holiday story book that's been adapted to both live action and animated media since it was first published in 1957. There was the 1966 animated TV special with narration by Boris Karloff and the first rendition of You Are a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, sung by Thurl Ravenscroft with lyrics by Dr. Seuss himself. Then, of course, Ron Howard brought The Grinch to live action in 2000 with the Jim Carrey starring How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, Illumination Entertainment is returning the mean green creature to animation with their more simply titled The Grinch. The Grinch worked as a modernized retelling of Dr. Seuss' classic with some compelling tweaks to the story and characters for plenty of family fun. The Grinch follows the classic story of Dr. Seuss' original book as narrated by Pharrell Williams, introducing the titular characters voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch as a loathsome creature who lives all by himself. Save for his loyal dog Max hidden away in Mount Crumpet, down in the valley below sits Whoville, a festive little village known for its love of Christmas and everything that comes with the holiday, decorations, food, and the especially gifts. However, when the Grinch crosses paths with young Cindy Lou Who, Cameron Seeley, he starts down the road that will bring his story to the same conclusion as in Dr. Seuss' classic. That year, the Grinch learns from Bricklebaum, a particularly jolly who believes himself to be the Grinch's best friend, that Whoville is aiming to make their Christmas celebration 3 times bigger. As a result of the childhood trauma, the Grinch hates everything Christmas, and after a tree lightning ceremony that reminds him of his trauma, he vows to steal the holiday from the overly festive residents of Whoville. Meanwhile, Cindy Lou, the daughter of overworked single mother Donna Lou, who played by Rashida Jones, plot to capture Santa Claus so she can ask him for a very special wish. As Cindy Lou and the Grinch plot out their respective Christmas plans, they don't realize their path will cross again and that they will inevitably change each other's lives for the better. The Grinch was co-directed by Scott Mosier and Giacchini, The Secret Life of Bits from a script by Mitchell Leasier. Keep him up with the Jones and Tommy Swidlow, Cool Runnings, Snow Dogs. The 3D computer animation of the Grinch is typically of all Illumination films, which is to say that it brings a great deal of texture to the story. Not only is the setting of Whoville richly animated with beautifully three-dimensional architectures and realistic looking food that will have viewers craving Christmas cookies, but the characters are rendered in incredibly thoughtful ways, none more so than the Grinch himself. From snow ticking in the fur of his grandfather booties to his fur blowing in the wind on top of the Mount Crumpet, the animation of the original character helps the viewer to become more deeply immersed in the Grinch. It's undoubtedly a far cry from the 2D animation of the 66 TV special, but more in line with modern animation styles and fits perfectly with Illumination's method in particular. As for the modernized story of the Grinch, it certainly works within pop culture today. Families with a single parents are common enough now that it makes sense for the movie to depict Cindy Lou as the daughter of a single mother and how that would affect her character arc. To be sure, the original story doesn't give Cindy Lou much character development beyond depicting her as a young girl who managed to break through to the Grinch with her kindness. Illumination the Grinch expands upon the character trait in a way that lures her in a modern way family situation, but involves how her kindness here is implied, it's a part inherent and part learned from her mother. Impact the Grinch certainly making Cindy Lou the daughter of a single mother is the kind of surface change that has become prevalent in modern reimagining of classic stories like young girls being interested in STEM. But the aspect of her character is woven deeply into Cindy Lou's story so that it becomes a driving force for her entire arc. As a result, the Grinch earns its modernized aspect through its story. Similarly, the Grinch's own arc is different in certain key ways to what's previously been presented by adaptations of Dr. Seuss' story, though he is still a creature with a heart two sizes too small. Cumberbatch Grinch is a more empathic character. This is not an inherently evil creature who hates the joy of Christmas, or who doesn't fit the typical mold and is ostracized because of it. This Grinch is a lonely creature who rejects others before he can be rejected by them. He is someone who isolated himself to prevent the heart of potentially being left alone by others. As a result, the story is slightly different to accommodate for the slight tweaks to the Grinch character. This Grinch must learn a more explicit lessons about how Christmas brings loved ones together, friends and found family, not just blood relatives to spend the holiday with each other. In this theme too, the Grinch has a more modern message for young viewers. The holidays are not necessarily about family, but about being those you love, whoever that may be. Ultimately, the changes made to the story and characters for Illuminations the Grinch work to set the movie apart from the adaptation of Dr. Seuss' story that came before it. Certainly, it doesn't have the campy aspect of Carrie's performance in Howard's live-action movie, nor does it stick to the classic tale of "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." Here, the song is performed by Taylor, the creator, but the modernization of the Grinch will undoubtedly work for many audience members. Though perhaps some aspects more than others, Cumberbatch is a new Grinch for a new generation, working equally well in the moments of heart as in the more novelous cakes. And Max, along with the reindeer Fred, are scenes Taylor's bringing some poor family fun to the Grinch to go with its heartwarmingly earnest message about holiday togetherness. The Ghrinch may not be a necessary holiday movie, but fans of Dr. Seuss' story or holiday film in general will find plenty to like it in new animated retelling. Plus, with a variety of family-friendly jokes, The Grinch will no doubt entertain viewers, young and old, though the 90-minute runtime does scratch thin in the third act of the movie. It's perhaps not worth seeing in IMAX, but The Grinch does provide some rich visuals that will also capture the eye of all moviegoers. The Grinch is holiday fun for the whole family, adapting a classic story with a new twist that makes for an altogether compelling moviegoers experience. The Grinch 2018 movie proves that The Grinch 2 can still happen even without Jim Carrey. With the producer so popular that it's a staple for many during the holiday period, How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2 could still work without Jim Carrey reprising the role, and one 2018 film proves it. Carrey's impressive performance of the Grinch was 23 years ago and it's still a hit amongst fans. A literally sequel to The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, source material was released in September 2023 and authorized by the Dr. Seuss estate. Titled How the Grinch Stole Christmas, this follow-up is set 1 year after the first book and follows the Grinch attempt to win a Best Christmas Tree contest in Whoville. In The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, Carrey donned an elaborate costume and makeup is a tale that saw the Biter character came to understand the true meaning of Christmas. The character's popularity is evident in the array of mediums of which he is a part, like film remakes, a video game, and a musical version, each with merit. Because of his awards for the role and praise amongst fans, Carrey would be a natural fit to bring the character to life again. However, without Carrey a potential How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2 would need to recast the character, which could be a good thing. Illuminations 2018, The Grinch proves a new Grinch can work. How the Grinch Stole Christmas was not the first adaptation of the book and it certainly was not the last. In 2018, Illumination releases an animated version titled The Grinch was become the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time with $526.7 million box office earning worldwide. This beat popular live-action holiday films like Home Alone and Love Actually. Evidently, The Grinch's appeal as a character is undeniably. Moreover, the shift is medium to animation and Benedict's Cumberbatch voicing the titular character solidifies that the franchise can be a commercial success with Reinvented. Despite Carrey's off-the-wall comedic performance, breathing new life into the character in the first live-action version, the 2018 animated remake proves the franchise can stand on its own without him in the lead role. The Grinch family-friendly humor and charming visuals gave it enough nostalgia from the previous film to notice existing fans and appeal to people of all ages. Why Jim Carrey will not reprise his role for The Grinch 2? With The Grinch's massive success, the news that Carrey will not reprise his role is not as devastating as it could have been. Carrey, now 61, has portrayed many iconic comedy roles beside The Grinch, such as the titular character in The Capable Guy and The Mask, with his career spanning over 40 years. Keeping that in mind, it's unsurprising that Carrey announced he'd be retiring from acting in 2022 during a press interview. Carrey told Hollywood if the Angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break. I really like my quiet life and I really love putting paint and canvas. I really love my spiritual life and I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. Carrey has also shared in the past that he is not a huge fan of sequels since he feels they are usually more for commercial gain than narrative necessity. He shared, when you put 10 years between you and the last time you did, suddenly you are going, how did I do that again? So you are imitating your original inspiration. Therefore, committing to a role like The Grinch over 2 decades after last portraying him might miss some of the essence and physicality that made the characters so great. How the Grinch Stole Christmas has become more popular over time. When How the Grinch Stole Christmas was released in 2000, it had successful box office results. Its opening weekend made up 21.4% of its gross earning. However, despite this, its critical reviews were mixed, with many stating the original 1966 animated adaptation was the best movie version of The Grinch because the story was in its poorest form. Some criticisms mentioned the 2000 film's plot was weak with a dark tone, despite Carrey's animated performing imaginizing it. Luckily, How the Grinch Stole Christmas cult allowing draws attention to its merit, like meticulous costume design and makeup, carries performance, and the absurdity in the live action sets. Despite many years passing since the film original release, some opinions still vary a time. The film's deviations from the source material to focus on the Grinch original, while critique in the past is arguably what makes it the perfect procedure for a sequel that follows this personal journey in learning how to deal with failure. With the second book laying the foundation for a new story and proof that the Grinch can stand on its own, How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2 could be a success and provide a fresh perspective for fans of the franchise if it gets greenlit. Christmas, despite being the most wonderful time of the year, can be annoying. Whatever it's making small talk at work parties, dealing with your neighbors, garage light displaying, or simply fetching the decoration from whichever corner of the loft you stashed them in. There's a plenty worth mourning about. Perhaps that's why the Grinch, Dr. Seuss' iconic character who despises all things festive, is so popular. We can all relate just a little. In this latest version, he is voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, whose menacing gruff snaggers and snooty tones suit the character down to the ground. As a blues order at his trusty dog Max or snidely riffs on why he woos the holiday-loving beings who lives nearby are so detestable. But the Grinch's main stake is significantly less so here than in previous incarnation, which is disappointing. Gives that's where the most fun can be. Directors Jared Kenny and Scott Moriarty's Kevin Smith, producer in its features-length directing debut, clearly set out to make a child-friendly movie. While succeeding on that front, they have also created a safe and often sickeningly sweet film that seems more concerned with pushing its message. That Christmas is about being with loved ones, not material gifts, than it is to adding anything how to well-known story. This is a far different beast to its zany Ron Howard directed procedures, which dare to feature a disturbingly creepy Jim Carrey performance and a line about turning pony into glue. Although its plot is disappointingly uninventive, The Grinch does boast some great visual gags, with the Grinch setting his Christmas Eve scheme into motion, an obvious highlight as it uses all manner of gadgetry including light-up candy cans and collapsible saddles to descend down the hose chimneys to rid their homes of festive cheer. It's just a shame that this is the limit of the film's ambition. If I had aimed higher, it could have been far more memorable, as it is it's no more than an engagingly colorful animation with rhyme lifted straight from the book that will play best to the kids. Movie review: The Grinch 2018. The third screen adaptation of the 1957 Dr. Seuss book How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a very enjoyable animated revisiting of this classic tale, which will appeal to the younger viewers without offering much in the way of ordinary or fresh impulse of those of us familiar with the source material. The movie is directed by Chiaro Chini and Scott Morias, starring Bendix, Cumberbatch, Weist, Rashta Jones, Angela Lansbury, and others. Illumination Entertainment's latest Dr. Seuss adaptation, the Christmas classic The Grinch, is a delightful, kid-friendly holiday treat. Adult-friendly as well. Mr. Grinch may be a mean one, but Bendix Cumberbatch personification is the least darkness of all. He is a Grinch boosting dancer, backstory development, a reason for hating Christmas, yet more exuberant twinkles of player. Jim Carrey will always be remembered for donning Dr. Seuss' glossy green costume, expressive in ways Cumberbatch CG of thought dreams of, only to remind how different a Take illumination shapes, brighter, chirpier, and stuffed filled with a whole lot of neatly wrapped holiday cheer. Dr. Seuss penned a tale about how the Grinch stole Christmas, but Illumination dares to ponder why. You know the story, Mr. Ґрінч, who lives above Whoville in a mountaintop hideaway complete with Batcave-like workshop, despises Christmas. This year's especially Mondstadt, with the mayor of Whoville orders seasonal celebration be tripled in size. Γκρінч plans to imitate Santa Claus, infiltrate Whoville homes, and steal every last remnant of Christmas joy until the town is cheerless. He doesn't care about wide-eyed children like Cindy Lou who and their Xmas wishes, as unselfish they might be. All Grinchy can think about this one fateful holiday spent in an orphanage with no parents, no presents, and only the memory of being completely alone on Christmas. Writers Mikhail Yezers and Tommy Savadlo orphanage tie into seasonal depressions achieve the most empty of any franchise to date. The Grinch headed to candied sugar plums and gingerbread houses cuts to the core of Batman, but also teased Sandy Lou's for a more effective savings instruction. Even as Grinch steals brickle bombs, decoration sleigh and pits children with snowballs, there's a less visible malice, no extreme cabinet carry front, no vicious 1966 million miles made. Don't get me wrong, Grinch takes Whoville to task over its Christmas obsession. It's just very well illumination brand safe. 2018 crawling Dr. Seuss upset is so very commercialized as you might expect. Pharrell Williams overtake narration duties. Cumberbatch is not asked to go full board musical in his role. Taylor the creator updates single on favorite like You Are a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, that set a more contemporary hip hop backdrop with very memorable holiday jingle from the Jackson 5 to well name a classic December radio hit launches the Grinch into modern pop culture. The Grinch sometimes besting mood, other times sticking on energized Christmas spirits. Previous films leaked. As expected, Illumination's Γκρінч undergoes a restoration to appease slight cakes and revelants. Γκρінч enjoys his coffee every morning with a creamer, sad face artwork, shares his palm in bright pink Arabic, sketchy pen, the usual minion, Brent Homer. As expected, Illumination's Γκρінч undergoes a restoration to appease slight cakes and relevance. Γκρінч enjoys his coffee every morning with a creamer, sad face artwork. Director Giorgini and Scott Morris, along with Illumination's rock-steady animation department, construct a Whoville winter wonderland smelling of evergreen and hot cocoa. Rod becomes bobsleigh clues where toboggans, spread downs, slippery slopes. Γκρінч uses more spice, deodorant before shopping at Who Food. Market doors open like unlocked chests, bakeries sell peppermint bread, and everyone has a smile on their face. Packed snow, gigantic, each pottery, all spectacle with visible flakes that demonstrate advanced computerized digitalization. Delectable feast laid across fantastic tables, colorful Xmas sweaters, glistening lights, and strung tinsel. The Γκρінч screams Christmas. Today, more than ever, can we ignore a film that toasts to kindness and love, the things we need most? The Γκρінч scoffs and jumps through its tentacious ability to shine Bockname beacons of happiness. Cindy Lou ever the seen stealing bundle of curious childhood goodwill, her wish a warm hallmark blanket. Mr. Γκρінч the devious penny with far more admission of nasties than we might expect. Dr. Seuss gets illuminated once again, and while it's not always the deepest cut into holiday loneliness or outcast pain, the Γκρінч is sure to please Giddy families who stand Christmas trees upright immediately after trick or theater snack their last fun-sized candy bar. Dr. Seuss The Ґrінч is a 2018 animated movie, and The Ґrінч remake wrecked me, a CG animated spin-off on Dr. Seuss' Christmas Tale stick to the script but hits in one unexpected way. The story of how the Ґrінч stole Christmas is embedded into the American holiday tradition just as much, if not more, as the story of Ernest Scrooge, Dogloaf, and even Santa Claus. You would be very hard pressed to find someone who never read the book and or watched the movie or shock their head at a silly grumpy Grinch who just doesn't understand the magic of Christmas and the general holiday season the way that we do. Adults often find themselves sympathizing with the Grinch as the repetitive nature of the holiday seasons plays out one's skin. Jolly elves present specialty holiday letters at the holy and tinsel in an effort to mask the realities of the world around us, but while watching yet another retelling of the Grinch may seem like a nostalgic violation, there's something about the CG animated tale that feels familiar and comforting as well as unexpectedly vulnerable. I was not ready for this movie. This month, The Grinch from Animation Studio Illumination is the standard Dr. Seuss story that we all know. Unlike the 2000 Jim Carrey version, this Grinch is not bounded by a cavalcade original story. Instead, the reason for this jaded view of the holiday is simple. He grew up in an orphanage and was jealous of everyone's family warmth during Christmas. Projecting onto the Grinch is even easier thanks to simple backstory. He complains about the consumerism and greed of the holiday season. We chuckle. He makes jokes about emotional overeating to deal with his problem. We nod. He talks about self-isolating himself because it's better that way. That hits close to home. He lives alone. His best friend is his pet. He only leaves when he needs to get groceries, dreading human interaction. I'm not usually a holiday necessary by any means, but about half an hour into the movie, I was hit with the revelation, oh shit, the Grinch is me. At this point in my life, I have seen the original 1966 Grinch animated film every year of my elementary school life and bits and pieces of the 2000 Jim Carrey movie when it plays 800 times during on television during freeform 25 Days of Christmas Marathon. I have read the Dr. Seuss book and I have listened to the thorough Raven Scott song when it's pumped on the radio every cheery holiday season. I know how the story of the Grinch goes, and by no means should it take me off guard. But the Grinch made me cry. I am a regular movie crier, but I have never ever cried while watching a Grinch movie. There was something about the new version's take on the heartwarming scene, the one in which the Who's Down and Who Will sing and hold hands, blowing the Grinch away with the power of Christmas and love. That just made me tear up heartily so that no one in the dark theater could see. I brushed the tears away because this is a kid's story I have seen at least a dozen times in my life. I should absolutely not be moved to tears. Dr. Seuss The Grinch is the animated movie based on the Dr. Seuss book How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Grinch is a sad, miserable creature who lives in an isolated cave with his faithful dog, Max. The Grinch passes his dempsey when the town of Whoville comes alive with the joy and magic of Christmas. Everything you need to know about the movie. So, the reviews of the movie The Grinch 2018. The movie 2018 3D computer animated adaptation of Dr. Seuss' classic 1957 book How the Grinch Stole Christmas produced by Illumination Entertainment, and it is directed by Scott Mosier and Giacchini. The film was released on November 9, 2018. It's the third screen adaptation of the book overall, the second feature film adaptation after the 2000 film, and the second animated adaptation following the 1966 TV special, as well as Illumination's second adaptation of a Dr. Seuss book after the Lorax in 2012 and the Lost Zeus adaptation to be directly proved by his widow Audley Giesel, who passed away 5 weeks after its release after having served as president and founder of Dr. Seuss Enterprises. The story is about the same. Out on the outskirts of Whoville lives an unpleasant fellow known only as the Ґrінч. He delves in a cave high up on Mount Crumpet with his invention and his dog, Max, and only ever sees his Who neighbors when he has to go into town to get himself food on holiday season. The Ґrінч catches wind that the whole plan to make their routine Christmas celebration 3 times bigger than this year, something he cannot tolerate in the slightest. Eventually, he has the ultimate epiphany to keep the peace and quiet he loves so much. He must become Santa Claus and steal Christmas. Meanwhile, in the town of Whoville itself, one particularly holiday-loving Cindy Lou, who just wants to ask Santa Claus for help for her overworked single mom. How does she do it? Plot with her friends to catch him, of course. The movie The Ґrінч 2018. While Illumination chief Chris Maddenlady has made original creations a priority, the exception have been his Dr. Seuss feature adaptation, and The Ґrінч raped this third after Horton Howard's The Who and The Lorax, both made at Fox. Unlike Ron Howard's 2000 live-action take for Universal, that year's highest grossing big at the domestic box office with $260 million, which focused on the commercialization of Christmas. Melancholy returned to the essence of the original Ґrінч story, collision course between the Ґrінчy cynicism and Cindy Lou's innocence. With Benedict Cumberbatch as the voice of the green guy with the oversized heart, the turn was closer to the 1966 animated Christmas special classic than Jim Carrey's manic live-action turn. The Ґrінч is an evergreen franchise for Universal, and the Illumination stamp sold audience on a Minions-like humorous take on the character. The Ґrінч launches November 9 ahead of other giant November Thanksgiving holiday, offering like Warner Bros. Fantastic Beasts 2 and Disney's Ralph Break the Internet. The Ґrінч opened to 78.2 million domestic on the long Veteran Day holiday weekend, making it the biggest Christmas-themed big opening of all time. It rolled out internationally shortly thereafter, grossing $240 overseas to go with its $270 in the United States and Canada theaters. Unlike others animated and family fare, The Ґrінч is one of only 2 such films to crack the top 10 of this year's profit tournament. The Ґrінч Black Ink at 184 turned in lower profit number than other Illumination hits such as Sing 194, Despicable Me 366 million, The Secret Light of Pits 374 million, and even the Despicable Me spin-off Minions $502 million. The profits listed here do not include merchandising revenues. The lower profit on The Ґrінч were largely having to do with the fact that Dr. Seuss is not well known outside the speaking English foreign markets and Germany, hence the film's overseas BO $240 million tells that if other Illumination hit Minions 823, DM3 707, Secret Light of Pit 507, and Sing $363 million. That said, Illumination built and Unisold Ґrінч for a combined production and P&A cost of $196 million, which is 12% less than the combined average production and global PA and cost of those four illumination films. While the studio spent 121 million worldwide in P&A on Ґrінч, it also received an additional 80 million from 60 worldwide promotional partners. Marketing partner on the 2000 Ґrінч movie contributed $50 million. The box office performance of the movie The Ґrінч 2018. The Ґrінч 2 steel box office crown with 55 million plus debit. Universal Illumination are seeing green as The Ґrінч anticipates to earn between 55 million to 65 million when it launches on 4,140 screens. The animated comedy is expected to dominate over The Girl in the Spider's Webs and overload the two other wide releases hitting theater this weekend. And the adaptations of the classic Dr. Seuss tale, Benedict's Cumberbatch voices the animated Ґrінч who Lotus Christmas. The voice cast also include Rashta Jones, Keenan Thompson, Angela Lansbury, and Pharrell Williams. Frequently illumination collaborator Ciara Cheney took contracting duties with Scott Mosier. The Ґrінч is the second Dr. Seuss story with illumination. The studio behind Despicable Me, The Secret Life of Pets, and Sing has brought to the big screen. In 2012, the animators produced The Lorax, which launched with 70 million and went on to pick up over 348 million globally. Both Ґrінч and Lorax carried production budget around $75 million. This marked the third time Ґrінч has gotten the Hollywood treatment following the 1966 animated TV special. The grumpy green creature snagged a 2000 feature film with Jim Carrey. Carrey's rendition, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, is still the second biggest holiday movie of all time, with box office receipt over 345 million worldwide. Until Disney Delph break the internet hits theater later this month, The Ґrінч will not have much competition amongst the family crowd. Last weekend, Disney's The Nutcracker and the Ford Rom crumbled at the box office. It earned just $20 million, a disastrous start given that Holiday Fantasy took $125 million to remake. For Sony, The Girl in the Spider-Webs is eyeing a start between 10 million to 15 million from 2400 Avenue. The studio, which is co-producing the movie with Columbia, MGM, and New Regency, is tempering expectations, projecting 8 million for the 3-day period, while a debut in the mid-teens would be on par with David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon's Tattoo, the first film in the Millennium series. The sequel arrives with significantly less hype. The original entry opened with $12 million in 2011 and had long legs throughout the holiday season as it went on to generate 102 million in North America and 230 million worldwide. The follow-up, however, cost half as much. Dragon Tattoo carried a 90 million Praxis tag, while Spiderweb was budgeted at $43 million. Fisher Films started Ronnie Mara and Daniel Craig. This movie reboots the series with new actors and sees Claire Foy taking on the role of computer Marilyn Lansberg. Scandal, based on the novel by David Lankernas. The Girl in the Spiderweb was directed by Fede Alvarez and co-written by Alvarez, Stephen Knight, and Jay Basso. Spider-Verse will certainly benefit from counter-programming against The Ґrінч, but it likely will not be enough to top the second weekend of Fox Bohemian Rhapsody. If the Coen biopic enjoys another solid weekend in theater, it could earn another 25 million to 30 million in its sophomore frame. Since adult audiences don't traditionally come out in droves on an opening weekend, Sony is banking on an older crowd to turn out for Spiderwebs during the Thanksgiving break to fill seats for the R-rated thriller. The weekend's final wide release Paramount's Overlord is aiming to bring in between $8 million and $13 million. J.J. Abrams produced the war horror film which debuted in 2,850 locations. It follows a handful of American soldiers who are dropped behind enemy lines just before D-Day and discover secret Nazi experiments. With titles like The Nun and Halloween overperforming in recent weeks, it stands to question if the current horror wave will translate to success for Overlord, which is not based on a familiar property. Attempting to capitalize on election day buzz, Sony and Columbia Pictures are launching The Frontrunner in 4th Theater in Los Angeles and New York on Tuesday. Hugh Jackman stars in the political drama as former Senator Gary Hart. With Bohemian Rhapsody, A Star is Born, and Halloween still drawing crowd, the domestic box office is up over 10% compared to last year. That momentum should continue in the run up to Thanksgiving, one of the busiest times for moviegoing. A number of busy titles, including Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Creed 2, and Ralph Breaks the Internet, enter theaters this month. The Ґrінч 2018 movie box office, with Tuesday number included Illumination and Universal Pictures. The Ґrінч stayed with Seek across the half-billion mark worldwide. The spread is 207 billion domestic and 231 billion at the international box office for 501 million total. This is the sixth title from the Fog at Chris Medelin's animation powerhouse to reach $500 million. Domestically known as Dr. Seuss, The Ґrінч, the Bendix Cumberbatch voiced update on the Christmas classic opened number 1 with 67 million in November. That gave Illumination in 7th number 1 both, with the movie going on to become the 6th highest grossing title of 2018 and the second biggest animated film of the year in North America. Overseas, where Dr. Seuss is not well known outside the English-speaking markets and Germany, the movie was titled simply The Ґrінч and has remained in the top 10 of 9 consecutive weeks. It opened number 1 in 30 territories including the UK, France, Australia, Spain, Mexico, Norway, India, Thailand, Vietnam, New Zealand, Hungary, and Ukraine. Globally, the Yarogini Scott Mosier director picked Scott the biggest bow for a Christmas-themed film and went on to become the highest-grossing Christmas-themed pick of all time and the top Seuss adaptations. The Ґrінч is the story of a big green grub who sets out to steal Christmas only to find his heart touched by little Sandy Lou, who and her selfless gratitude wish. For their work on the film, legendary and long-time collaborator Janet Healy recently receives a PGA nomination. Healy told Deadline in October that a big takeaway from the story is that the power of inclusion's diversity. Also, the importance of community and tradition, but even more so, there's the redemptive power of forgiveness. It really speaks to what kindness means and how joy and love and compassion are so important. Not only at Christmas, but for all of us, it's a time to make the world a better place. Next up, this summer, Illumination and Universal will go back to the dogs with The Secret Life of Pets 2, the anticipated follow-up to 2016 $875 worldwide grosser. The Ґrінч 2018 movie, Illumination and Universal Pictures present The Ґrінч 2018, the 8th fully animated feature film based on Dr. Ґrінч, Seuss' beloved Christmas classic. The Ґrінч full movie is the story of a cynical, grumpy man who embarks on a mission to steal Christmas, but his mind is chained by a young girl's great Christmas cheer. It's a universal story about the spirit of life and the irrepressible power of optimism. Oscar nominee Benedict Cumberbatch lends his voice to the infamous Ґrінч. The Ґrінch lives solitary in a cave on Mountain Crumpet with only his loyal dog Max. In a den stocks with invention and gadget for daily necessities, the Ґrінch only sees Whoville neighborhood when they run out of food. They throw a more significant, brighter celebration every Christmas, disturbing his quiet solitude. Meanwhile, in Whoville, teenage girl Cindy, her who fully of holiday gaiety, takes herself to thank Santa for helping her overworked single mother. A group of friends were planning to catch Santa on his Christmas Eve tour, but as Christmas approached, her good-natured plans threatened to crash with the Ґrінch's more nefarious plan. Various platforms are streaming the Ґrінch full movie now for to enjoy this mad ride for the holiday season. The Ґrінch 2018 movie released in 2018. It is referred to as Dr. Seuss The Ґrінch 2018. The Ґrінch, how illumination The ฆrінch improved the Christmas classic. Dr. Seuss' How the Ґrінch Stole Christmas is an unmistakably literary classic that champions the transformative power of the holiday season on even the sorest of handbags. Across its nearly 65 years in publications, the 70-page poem has been adapted by Chuck Jones as a cartoon TV special, Ron Howard as a live-action comedy starring Jim Carrey, and even a full-fledged Broadway stage musical. While each iteration of the Seuss favorite varies greatly in aesthetic and tonal execution, they all retain the story's basic theming and promise of an eccentrically nasty Crammaging stealing Christmas from the Who's down in Whoville without veering too far from the familiar story beats of the book. In 2018, Illumination brought the story to the screen once again in The Ґrінch, a dazzlingly animated slapstick comedy in the vein of the studio's blockbuster Despicable Me franchise. Starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the titular mean one, the film largely plays its saves by rolling out memorable scenes and songs amidst a ton of silly filler material to pad out the runtime to feature length. Despite the familiarity of the plot and its sequence, the greatest assets to this retelling that makes it stand out from the rest in its opening ending and how it illuminates a deeper dive into the character than previous Ґrінch outings. In the original story, upon having his heart grow 3 sizes, the Ґrінch cheerfully returned to Whoville to give back what he had stolen under cover of darkness and is almost immediately given the honor to carve the roast beast. In Illumination's Ґrінch, instead of triumphantly returning Whoville gift to Josh's funfair, he solemnly brings them back and earnestly apologizes to everyone before returning to his lair. In this ending, returning the gifts does not instantly self-gravity the Ґrінch for his change of heart. The town does not give him much of the reception when he arrives or reaction when he returns the present, and the movement focuses more on the Ґrінch's newly found self-awareness than it is a celebratory homecoming. Neither the town nor the Ґrінch himself intentionally absolves him for his action or his motives to do so. His 3 sizes element makes the Ґrінch ashamed of what he did, characterizing his growth beyond just realizing the worth of Christmas and helping identify within himself why he felt compelled to steal the holiday and how doing so did not fix anything. I thought it would fix something what happened a long time ago, but it did not. This great change of heart is not him learning that Christmas means a little bit more, but him recognizing that his feelings toward the holiday were rooted in a lack of love growing up as a kid. He did not steal Christmas to stop it from coming like in previous visions, but to make others feel as bad as he did to vindicate his years of lonely youth in the orphanage. Carrie's Ґrінч also acted on childhood trauma from a humiliating school life and became a recluse but still directed his motivation toward Christmas and everything he felt is represented. Illumination's Ґrінч has moments of visible anxiety being around people as he had closed his heart off to others since childhood out of fear of vulnerability and rejection. He puts up the mean one facade on a defense against the word that he was hurt by, as it was easier for him to make others feel the pain he suffers than to confront and grow past it. What helped steer his revelation was the compassion he saw in Cindy Lou, who in his previous adaptation was principally seen as an embodiment of the poor Christmas spirit that Ґrінч later learned. In this version, she fills that some function but also serves as the reminder of the kind of love the Ґrінч once longed for as a child. When the young who discovered the Ґrінch in his Santa disguise, she selflessly asked for him to help her mom at the expense of her own Christmas joys. This gives the Ґrінch a sobering moment of perspective that puts a face to the kind of love he is literally robbing from the Who's and plants doubt in his mind as to why he is doing it to begin with. After he returns the gift and retreats to his cave, the Ґrінch is then invited to Cindy Lou, whose family dinner, resulting in a charming awkward visit that permits the Ґrінch to, for the first time in his life, engage in the true family Christmas experience. He is shown unconditional kindness, sparked by the compassion of just one little who, enabling him to love others in a character growth more rewarding than just being able to enjoy Christmas. By virtue of being the third on-screen adaptation of a beloved book, Illumination, the Ґrінch offers little in the way of an original plot or new sequence, but what is able to contribute to the story is a deeper exploration of the Ґrінch motivation, which culminates in its humble ending. The Ґrінch has always been an outcasted loner across varied interpretation, but the 2018 The Ґrінch illustrates a more identifiable reason as to why he seeks to steal it away. Previous Ґrінches were outcast because of their hatred of Christmas, but the 2018 Ґrінch hates Christmas because he was cast out of a world that did not yield him a loving childhood home. Illumination, the Ґrінch gave the character the chance to apologize sincerely and learn more about himself and where he fits into not only the Christmas season but his community. Does the Ґrінch have an after-credit scene? Illumination Entertainment, the Ґrінch offers a modern retelling of Dr. Seuss' classic Christmas tale. Dr. Seuss' classic Christmas tale, but does it have an offer credits scene continuing the story? The story of the Ґrінch started off as a children's book written by Dr. Seuss, published in 1957. It was adapted into an animated TV special in 1966, then a live-action movie in 2000. Now, Illumination Entertainment is reimagining the classic story for a new generation with The Ґrінch, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the titular Ґrінch. The movie tells a slightly different version of the story of how the Ґrінch tries to steal Christmas from the town of Whoville. In the version of Dr. Seuss, How the Ґrінch Stole Christmas, Cindy Lou, who is the younger daughter of a harried single mother, Donna Lou, who plots to trap Santa Claus in an effort to get a very specific Christmas wish. However, Cindy Lou does not know her plan puts the Ґrінch's own nefarious scheme in jeopardy. The resulting film is a new spin on the classic Christmas tale, set to hit theater just in time for the holiday season. Moviegoers heading to theater to see the Ґrінch may be wondering if there's more to the movie after the credits finishing rolling. Unfortunately, the Ґrінch does not have an after-credit scene. Instead, the movie has some fun animation that plays throughout the first half of the credits. The animation sequences that are depicted during the credits are not necessary to enjoy the Ґrінч. They do confirm some aspect of the film's conclusion without getting into spoiler. The animated bits during the credit do continue the story beyond the ending of the Ґrінч, but largely just showcase the day-to-day lives of the main characters. The Ґrінч, Cindy Lou and Donna Lou, while the pieces of animation don't necessarily add anything viewers cannot presume based on the film's ending. They are some additional fun of the families that stick around through the credits. While post-credit scenes have become the norm for superhero movies in Hollywood, they are still relatively rare in other films genre. Certainly, Disney does occasionally include post-credit scene on their animated movies. For instance, Moana had a post-credit scene featuring one of the film's funnier characters, but more often than not, post-credit scenes tease sequel, and it's unlikely the Ґrінч will receive one. Though the story has been retold many times, it's not one that's open for sequels potential. As such, it makes sense for Illumination to include some additional bits featuring the character of the Ґrінч during the credit, but not a full-blown post-credit scene. Though the story has been retold many times, it's not one that's open for sequel potential. As such, it makes sense of Illumination to include some additional bits featuring the character of the Ґrінч during the credits.